Welcome to the Sensitive Warrior, where feeling everything is your superpower. Hi, my name is Doreen Lang. I am your host. I am here because I created this podcast in mind for highly sensitive people, or HSPs as we're referred to. These are people who really struggle with the energy of other people. We struggle with our own energy. We may have trouble setting boundaries with loved ones. We have deep empathy, and we've spent a lifetime taking care of others, really putting ourselves on the back burner. Well, I'm here to share with you today that, in fact, it is a superpower. Being sensitive is something that is extremely powerful but has its challenges. So this is the work I'm doing, and if you want to learn more, you can reach out to me at Doreen@yourhspcoach or blossomhealingstudio.com. So I have a podcast today with someone really interesting. Each week, I sit down with interesting, brilliant people who do something really different. They lead with heart. So we're going to learn today a wonderful woman named Kim DeLeo. Welcome.
Thank you.
So happy to have you here. And Kim is the Director of Business Development for Elder Care by Guided Living. And we're located in Plymouth.
Plymouth, yes.
And you take care of the South Shore area, basically.
South Shore, Cape, and all the way up to Braintree and some Bristol County.
That's a large area. So we're going to talk about sensitive people because I know the work you're doing is working with caregivers and people that you need to care for. So this is right in our wheelhouse here. So I'm so glad you joined me. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is so
I'm
great.
Excited.
So let me ask you, how did you get started in this business? A little bit about your background, if you could, and then what got you here?
Sure. So I started off in health and fitness. So I started off working as an aerobics instructor, personal trainer, went to school for corporate wellness. So I worked in corporate wellness for about 5 years. Companies like Johnson & Johnson, GE Aircraft Engines, Reebok, Rockport Shoe Company.
Wow, so you did programs within those
programs
businesses?
Within the companies for employees. Mm-hmm. And I managed the fitness centers and did educational programs. Wow. Then I kind of morphed into traveling nationwide, teaching or training the trainers. So I taught certification courses for the American College of Sports Medicine, and so personal training, aerobics, and that. And then I got a little bored. I decided I wanted to go back to school and become a physical therapy assistant. So I wanted the clinical aspect of it. And so I went to school, graduated, worked at Spalding Rehab for about 2 years, and then I worked in skilled nursing, managing skilled rehab.
Wow.
And then I went into home care, skilled home care as a physical therapy assistant.
Wow.
Working clinically. Did some recruiting, then just did some marketing, spreading the word, trying to grow the agency throughout Massachusetts.
Wow.
And then I got an amazing opportunity to work in private home care. And that's kind of really where my heart and soul is right now, and helping people kind of navigate what is best for them in private home care. So I work for Elder Care by Guided Living. So
you have a tagline.
We have a tagline, yes.
So let's hear that, because I think that really wraps around all that you do.
So our new tagline is, together we elevate care to meet the moment and deliver peace of mind.
Beautiful. So meet the moment, right? So meet people where they are.
Right. Meet the client and the family where they are at that moment, and then navigate that and transition into either more care, less care, whatever that means for that specific family, individual, client.
I read recently that something like 2.5 Americans are turning 65 every day. Yes. So, and I know you probably know the statistics too, but when I read that, because I had written a book on employee engagement, and I had to do the research to find out how many caregivers do we need, you know.
A lot.
And we need a lot, right?
We need a lot.
But in your business, your agency is really built on relationship focused, you know. So can you share a moment when this kind of approach worked so successfully for you? Because I know what you do. Other companies do this, but you kind of come at it holistically too.
Right.
Can you kind of talk about holistically, and then maybe share a story or two?
Sure. So, you know, meeting the moment is really essential, because families are at different points in their needs, in their care needs. And one example that I like to use or share is an actual client that we never actually provided care for. But she called me in a panic, which most clients do.
Right.
She was at the ER at Tilby Hospital, and she needed 24/7 care. She needed to go home.
She was calling for herself?
She was calling for herself.
Wow.
She was
Okay.
advocating for herself. She was young. She was 59 years old.
Wow.
Had a sudden onset neurological disorder that just came upon her.
Wow.
The doctor said it may or may not resolve. You have to give it time. You have to do therapy. She went home one time with therapy, ended up back in the ER the next day. So that's why she called me in a panic. So I said, can I come see you? So I went and saw her, and she wasn't in the hospital. She was still in the ER. They could not admit her because of the insurance. So she was seriously in a panic, needed to get out of the hospital, didn't want to go to skilled nursing long term.
Wow. What a
Wanted to
pickle.
come home. So we had a heart-to-heart conversation of what the reality of that is, 24/7 care, and what that cost might be, and is it something that she could afford? And it wasn't. So I said, can I make a phone call to a friend? So I like to surround myself with other colleagues that do a similar job but provide different services.
Wow.
So I called my friend, who's a senior advisor, and I reached out to him, and his name is Jim Monty from Oasis Senior Advisors. And I said, Jim, I have a situation. I need your help. He helped her and I. We called assisted living in Plymouth, and she was able to get in under respite for a 30-day starred respite. Under that care, she has since stayed there. She stayed there for almost a year. She got therapy, outpatient therapy, so she got PTOT. She was able to walk, transfer herself, do things independently.
Wow. She really got the care she needed.
She really got the care she needed. She was
Right.
in an environment that fostered her independence, improved the quality of her life, and was affordable for her. And
Wow.
so she recently moved home with her sister, who was
that's wonderful.
helping to take care of her. So
That's wonderful.
I like to share that story.
It's a great story. I mean, there's so much to it. Well, first of all, if I could I need to ask you is, you said you really had no money.
She didn't have a lot of money.
So
no.
respite, for people who may not know, right? Respite is just a temporary stay. That's all that
temporary
respite means, almost
stay.
like to just have a respite, like your own self. Just get there and collapse and just relax a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It could be a month or two, but not much longer, right?
Right. It was a
But
temporary
it still
stay.
costs.
It still cost money, but it was $5,000 or $6,000 compared to $30,000 a month that it might cost her with private home care.
Wow.
So she was able to spend out. I mean, she
Yes,
did have to get
yes.
on Mass Health and Medicaid. She had to go through that process, but they helped her do that. They got her started on that. She was able to
Beautiful.
spend down, do what she needed to do in order to become independent.
Right.
And go home.
And go home.
Where she wanted to
Where
be.
she wanted to be, where we
Yeah.
all want to be. So as far as, just to kind of talk about cost a little bit more, assisted living, where she ended up staying, was that private pay, or was
It
that?
was private pay.
It was private pay. So how was she able to afford that?
She had a home
Okay.
that she had to sell.
Okay.
Yep. So she had to sell her home in order to do that. So, on the flip side, if I said, sure, I'll take you home, we'll provide 24-hour care, knowing that she would spend through her money
So
and
quickly.
be stuck and so quickly, and then end up, in a long-term care facility at 59 years old, was just not where I wanted her to be.
Wow. I think everyone
wanted-
needs to talk to you.
I wanted her to go home.
Well, you identify with these people, right?
be
Because
what-
you lead with heart.
Yeah.
You understand that she really is saying, "Can you help me?"
She's saying, "Can you help me?" And so I gathered a team that could help her, and together we worked to make that happen. And she's forever grateful. And she's referred another client to me, somebody that she knew that needed help and needed care, and we've since, helped that family. So
Wow, that's
it all comes
phenomenal.
back.
So it's so interesting, though. 59, that is so scary. But when I was an executive director years ago, and people would come in with their daughters, and they'd say, we're looking around, but this is so expensive. And I would, I'm from a middle class family, from Watertown, Mass. I mean, we had nothing but normal growing up. And I would be agreeing with them. I know, it's a fortune here. Like I said, I know. However, let's do the math.
Let's do the math.
And we divide that by even 24 hours a day and what we're being charged for. And their eyes just kind of like, right. It's because it's like it's a deal. It sounds crazy, but it's affordable if you break it down by the hour, these assisted living communities. So, but often people have to sell their homes. Fortunately, the market's so crazy that that means they're going to have money.
A lot of times families don't know what they don't know, right? They think, oh, I can just go to skilled nursing and they're just going to take care of me. Well, you still have to pay for skilled nursing if you're not on Mass Health or Medicaid. You still pay out of pocket. So it's kind of weighing, you know, where do you want to be and what are your needs? If you need true skilled nursing, then that's one thing. But if you don't.
Right. I love that story. That's a perfect
assisted
story.
living or home care, you know, if it's affordable, it's always best to, you know, aging in place. That's kind of where, you know, everybody wants to be, is we want to age in place for as long as we can.
Yeah,
for however we can afford to do that. So
right. So you're literally driving to wherever the call is.
Yes.
On the South Shore, of course, Braintree further south.
Yep. I have another colleague that covers the Cape, and then we are growing. So I have someone that will help cover Bristol County and up towards Boston soon. So we are growing into Massachusetts.
Wow, that's incredible. So tell me what you mean by holistic. You know, it's like holistic care. Are you talking about literally talking with people, bringing their minds in, their bodies in, like really kind of addressing them as a complete person? Addressing
them as a complete person and looking at, you know, what are their needs and what are they looking for and how can we help support that? And, you know, providing the caregivers that are appropriate for a specific client with specific needs, right? We have nurses that oversee all of our caregivers and are assigned to our clients as like a case manager. And then we have care managers that help support the family, you know, from a social work and person-to-person, concierge type of situation where, you know, every family's needs are different, the dynamics are different.
Right.
So it's an extra layer of support. So we come at it from that aspect. And then, you know, in bringing in your team of support, there are other resources in the community that help support the families. And there are ways that insurance pays for things too.
Right.
So with private home care being paid out of pocket, there are times when it's appropriate to bring in skilled nursing for PTOT nursing or Meals on Wheels, you know, or get support through Old Colony Elder Services or whatever that support system is.
But you'll know that. And that's why you kind of tag yourself as like home care solutions, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem, right? When someone is going to go in for surgery and they're coming home thinking, oh my God, what do I need, right?
Yeah.
If they do hook their wagon up to you, there's a good chance you're going to be able to answer all of those questions because you know all of those resources because that's your network.
That's my network, and I've worked in them, and so I know them. I know the skilled nursing, I know the hospital end of it, I know this.
But you're unique in that you're also medically trained.
Yeah.
So you can look at things with a much more accurate eye, much more of a, this is a serious issue as opposed to, we'll come back later. Right. You know, la. You could be like, no, you need to do something now because tonight's coming, and you could have an issue tonight. So that's really kind of brilliant.
Well, speaking with the families realistically or the individual who might be going for the total knee replacement and calling, you know, I was told that I'm going to need help at home. How much help am I going to need?
Right.
Well, you're going to need help around the clock because you're not going to be able to do things and get things for yourself, and the fall risk is there. So even if it's 48 to 72 hours, upon discharge and then back off.
Right.
You know, or transportation, you know, so those are all the things. And like I said, you don't know what you don't know, so sometimes you don't even know the questions to ask. So I can kind of foresee what things are happening. Like, I just want you to come a couple hours a day. Well, let's talk this through. What does that really mean?
What is it? Right. You don't want to be left alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So I understand caregiver satisfaction is unusually high within your team. So what are you doing behind the scenes to kind of strengthen and support your caregivers? Because they're under a lot of pressure, and you've got to make that call to them, right? And they've got to show up. They've got to kind of you got to give them an idea of the who, the what, and what the expectations are, and they've got to like independently by themselves show up and perform these duties.
Right.
So how are you helping them on the inside?
We've put into place quite a few things. But, first of all, the caregivers are truly the face of our agency, right? So they're the angels because they are the direct care. So
Right.
And their job is super, super challenging, and we know that, we appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Our recruiting team does a really good job at screening new hires. Onboarding is very thorough.
Great.
And then we do continuing education for different diagnoses, so dementia, Alzheimer's, hospice, end-of-life care. So we kind of know like what caregivers are comfortable in different situations, and if they're not and they want to learn, we provide that training and education. We have our nurses who are support for them that do check-ins. They do supervisory visits with the client and the caregiver. Our care managers do the same thing. So there's another layer to help with that extra support.
Right.
We recognize our caregivers that go over and above. So we have like monthly caregiver of the month. We have a newsletter that goes out to them. We're just there for whatever they need. If we see they're struggling, we address it versus... And feedback from the family is super, super important.
Right.
And a thorough intake is really important, either from myself or Sarah and the nurses, on what their tasks are and how they need to help complete those tasks, and what helps the client. What's helpful to the client or what's not helpful to the client.
Right, all of that.
It's I tell families it's like a blind first date when you have a caregiver show up. Because they don't know what you like or don't like. They don't really know what to expect. You don't know
really
what
learn each other.
You have to learn each other. So
Quickly.
Communication is very, very important. And families, we let them know that it's important for them to communicate, positive and negative, because we need that feedback.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a matter of a conversation with a caregiver. They're really quiet. They just don't really do anything. They just sit and wait for me to tell them what to do. And sometimes that caregiver just needs to know that it's okay for them to initiate, because it's sometimes not their culture.
Right.
Culturally. Culture, it's different.
It's
and
huge.
Respect, and they just kind of wait for you to tell them what they need to do next. But if that's not working for the family, then that conversation is had, or that caregiver's not a good fit.
So what is, in terms of caregivers, what is like the age, would you say, the youngest and the oldest of your caregivers?
We have some that are young CNAs or going to school to be nurses. So they're CNAs and they're in school for nursing school, so they're in the 20s. And then we have some that are in their 40s. Getting older than that, it's hard. We have a few caregivers that have been with us for a very, very long time and are excellent at what they do. And could be in their early 50s, but not much older than that. Right.
Wow. So if you could just kind of share maybe the extreme of what you do for people, in terms of, could you sit and make, does a caregiver come in and take care of their lunch?
Yeah.
Or does it go so far as showers and go so far as medical, like what is the extremes? Yeah,
no, it's a great question. And families ask it a lot. So our caregivers can do anything from companionship. So they can be a companion for somebody, meaning that person might not need direct care. They don't need help getting dressed. They don't need help with the bathing, the dressing, the meal prep, but they need somebody to be there with them because they're alone. They have nobody else. They cannot drive, so they need a caregiver to drive them to appointments or take them to the store or take them to get their hair done or take them to doctor's appointments and be that extra ear for them.
Wow.
And then, kind of that middle range is some direct care. So they need help in bathing, dressing, toileting.
So really
bed,
daily needs.
Daily needs, activities of daily living, you would call that. Meal preparation, medication reminders. And then there's direct care where someone is completely dependent, where they can't get up and go to the bathroom, and they need care in bed, and they need everything done in bed. And then, so that gets more clinical, more medical. It could be hospice, it could be end of life. We do provide that end of life care.
Right. Wow.
Specifically, there's specific kind of requirements that we have, but we work closely with hospice in order to make that happen, and caregivers are able to administer those medications as needed with things that are set up.
So basically, when you have a caregiver in the home, and maybe they're there initially just to help, camaraderie, maybe play the puzzle, maybe take them to a doctor's appointment, but then the needs change. Does your business have the capacity to bring in different people based on the needs increasing?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we have most of our caregivers can kind of go from one extreme to the other, and then we have caregivers that are stronger with more of that direct care. So if there's been a decline with the client and they have had a hospital stay and now they've come back and maybe there's a hip fracture, whatever it might be, or sometimes there's a diagnosis of cancer, we can adapt and modify and bring in the team, a new team or existing team.
Right.
And just increase the amount of care and change the plan of care for that specific client. And we do have nursing, so private paid nursing. So if a nursing need does arise and there's a wound that needs to be addressed, someone has a new Foley catheter, colostomy, insulin.
Wow,
so
all of that. That's excellent. You really can really take care. So that must be part of your training for caregivers to see these warning signs. Right? I mean, that's kind of huge because you want to make sure they're cared for, but it could be out of their wheelhouse.
Right, and they communicate consistently with the nurses and the care managers, and there's a family portal that they can document how the shift went and what happened, or if there was a fall, or anything out of the ordinary happened. That's direct communication, and our team reviews it.
Wow. So let me ask you, as we're kind of wrapping up here, let me ask you, in my experience, when people call you and they usually need help, it's like that day. So and maybe they knew, but now it's your problem too, because it has to happen it's
a crisis.
It's a crisis. And you know how to mobilize then. You jump on it, and this is what you do, and you do well, and you have the technical ability, you have the kindness, you get it, you have this team.
Yeah.
But what would you say to families who really, really need help, but they either feeling guilty because they're like, I could do this for my mom, but I'm tired and I don't want to, or maybe it's a mom and for a son. Yeah. And he just, humility-wise, he feels like he can't care for his mother, but he's been putting it off so she's not getting the care because, in my experience, just a little bit, and you're so much more knowledgeable, but there's this, families struggle, with that, and they struggle with trust, right? Because that's huge. You're walking into their den, right? So how do you do that? How do you bring their shoulders down, and how do you, I can see by sitting with you have beautiful energy, and you can do that. But you've got to be able to be better than just showing up kind. You've got to be able to really give them that confidence. What is your steps to do that?
Yeah. Well, we have a great team that can back up, and support. So, I'm very, very grateful to that. But as far as families, it's never too late it's never too early to reach out for help, even if it's a question. How does it work? What do I need to know? What does it involve? How do I get started? What if I need you? What is it going to cost?
All that.
All of that. Who's going to come and take care of my mom or dad or my brother or sister or aunt or uncle, whoever that is.
Right.
Starting the conversation early is always the best way to go. But we can jump in a crisis and handle that. But it's the guilt and the trust. Feeling guilty about I can do this. And I've been there. I took care of my dad when he had cancer, and my sister and my mom and siblings. But I wish that I had brought in help sooner so that I could just be the daughter.
Yeah.
And not the caregiver too. So that's where, the struggle is we are sometimes afraid for our own family that we're not doing what we're supposed to do. But it's also important to take care of yourself as a caregiver and bring in the help when you need it. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It can be a little.
Help is help, right? Just
help
it could be
is
a hand.
Help.
Just that's when holding your hand for 10 minutes.
Well, just hold, or just somebody else to be there so you can leave the house for an hour. you could take care of what you need to take care of. And we
Do
see
you
that
find this kind of even more challenging with a spousal?
it's very challenging with a spouse, especially
Yeah.
a husband taking care of a wife or vice versa, especially with Alzheimer's and dementia, because they've been the caregiver for so long, and it just kind of evolved.
So what would you say if there was a spouse listening to you right now? What's like one message you would say to them if they really want help?
Just reach out and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Have a conversation about even 1 day a week, 2 days a week, just to start, just to get that comfort and to get that trust.
And they should call you.
And they should call me.
Yeah. So tell me how the people reach you.
They can call me directly, 774-772-4751.
Okay.
That's my direct line.
And your website?
The website is www.eldercarehc.com.
HC meaning?
Home care.
Perfect.
Elder care home
And your
care.
email?
Kim@eldercarehc.com.
Perfect. Thank you. I think I learned a lot about your business today, and I hope others will too, because you really do offer solutions. If you can't do it, you're going to try to find a way to help them, and that's pretty special. And that's I think as a highly sensitive person, I think that's exactly what we need, is somebody to understand that we do struggle wanting to do the right thing, but it's hard when we have a loved one and we think we should be doing it ourselves. So, so thank you. Thanks for coming on. So nice to have met you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much for joining us. Again, this is The Sensitive Warrior, where feeling everything is your superpower. Until next time, remember, feeling everything is your superpower. It's true. Thank you.